everybody, to the Glentendo Circuit Mario Kart 8 Deluxe online weekly, brought to you by the good folks here at Master Hand Gaming. I am Nintunist, always have been, always will be, most likely. Last time I checked. Yeah, no, I'm still Nintunist. I think I checked. But we're here running another beautiful rendition of our Glentendo Circuit Mario Kart Deluxe online weekly every single week, brought to you by the good folks here at Master Hand Gaming, in which we showcase some of the finer Mario Kart players, a lot of streamers who make these streams possible for you to see all these different races from a bunch of different perspectives. We got all the rules there at the side for you, 150cc, 24 races, no teams, blah, 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 the whole shebang. It is pretty much a no-holds-barred free-for-all that with that code over at the top right, you can join yourself. It is a free-to-join tournament running from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single week. I am, of course, joined once again by Master Hand Gaming's very own founder, owner, operator, and resident Adonis, who makes us all feel inferior because of his muscles, Chris Elodian, and before even Chris can't even say anything. Before Chris even says anything, I swear to God. Okay. This is a very damn it. This is a very special edition of the Glentendo Circuit that I am so excited about, because we're not alone here this time. We have our resident own Mario Kart Pro player in Knight, who is in here just to talk to us here. Just everything you want to hear about professional Mario Kart, leader of Pirate Hackers GG, and a G7 Mario Kart finalist in himself. And guys, his DMs are open for casting as well, so just to let you guys know. And he's here in the call with us, so if he's ready, hello, Knight?
What an intro, Nintunist. I just got done casting the Pro League matches, and then this is kind of when Glentendo starts. But yeah, super excited to be here. I played in a lot of these tournaments. I don't think I've ever not finished in the final 8, minus like last week when I just gave up halfway through to do personal stuff. But no, it's an exciting tournament. I love Glentendo Circuit. I appreciate you guys having me, and I can kind of add some context and just kind of vibe in this call and kind of give you some updates as the races progress.
I gotta say, I love the hashtag humble brag that you did at the beginning of that little spiel right there. You know, no, seriously, I love it. That wasn't sarcasm. I hope you realize that, and I very much hope you will sign my forehead later, if that is at all possible.
We'll see how the call goes for the next couple hours.
That bridge when we come to it, I suppose. Oh man, I'm so excited to be here this week. I mean, I'm always excited to be here. I mean, I love doing these, and now I'm more excited to have you here. And I'm always excited to talk to Chris.
Yes.
Look at Chris.
Hello. Yeah, this is it's cool to see that the circuit overall just branching out, and I think it's exactly what's happening, and that's a really cool part about Knight being here, because Knight is very deeply connected to the roots of competitive Mario Kart, because it's definitely existed well before we started Glentendo Circuit. He has such like a large amount of experience. He helps run a lot of the well, first of all, Kart Clash is his baby, and Kart Clash is basically where I would say probably all of the competitive players that we see in Glentendo Circuit probably come from there. And I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I know you also have MK Central as well, which is like the definitive competitive Mario Kart, I guess, main place to be.
First thing I'll say is, one, my name is Chris, so that always throws me off, too. Also, Mario Kart Central is kind of where the action's at. Kart Clash is kind of a free-for-all format that kind of stemmed from the LAN scene. Like, I came from the LAN side of things. There's a big event in Las Vegas, a big local, that used to take place every Saturday, but obviously with what's going on in the world, that kind of got cut short. Wow, huge shock dodge there by Melpool. He used to start right in time to dodge that shock. It's likely going to get third from it. But I guess just going back pretty quickly, yeah, I've only been in the competitive scene for about a year. I'm kind of like a mid-tier player per se. But yeah, I know some of the strategies, so I can kind of point them out if I see them. Looks like a PH member did get first, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I helped run and start a team with a few friends, and we've been in the scene for about a year, and it's really fun. And honestly, too, like, the free-for-all side of things with tournament mode, like, that's really what a huge draw is in Glentendo Circuit, so I'm excited to be part of it. And yeah, I'm actually kind of relatively newer to the competitive scene compared to some diehards and tryhards that have been around for years.
Oh wow! I mean, I was gonna say, we're very happy to have you here too. I would have had more questions prepared if I wasn't, in fact, such a degenerate that I am. But I gotta ask you. I mean, you said you haven't been in the scene that long. What got you started? What helped you hear about the competitive Mario Kart to help you get involved as a competitor and a caster?
So used to be big into racing. Like when I'm 28, so I won a national championship. I didn't actually win it. I got third, but I was the youngest player under 18, so they made a big deal of it that
That's
I was
hype.
like the best kid,
Yeah.
at the time. So in 2007, I won the final race ever broadcasted of NASCAR Racing 2003, which is a racing simulation. And I ended up going to school at UNC Charlotte, and I got into the hybrid format of racing in real life and then racing in a video game with the same team that I'd raced in real life with. So we kind of have this like two-pronged approach. Like it's kind of IRL, kind of over the internet. And I was like, you know what? I got into the land scene in Vegas. I was with a friend at the time, just drinking at a bar in the arena, and we found out there was a tournament going on. So we were like, hey, let's go play some Mario Kart. And I always played with friends, but I never actually owned a Switch. I was a PlayStation guy. One thing led to another, and then I went there in September. I ended up getting a Switch around December of 2018, and we formed a competitive team in around the end of March, early April 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm not gonna speak for everyone in this call, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that I did not think that you were when I asked you that question that you were going to tell me, yeah, it's because I was racing in real life.
Yes, that's crazy.
So I guess from
Not
a
gonna speak
casting
for Chris,
perspective,
but-
I was a pit reporter for an actual racing series, which by far is 10 times scarier than doing anything like a football reporter on the sidelines, right? That's fun. But when there's cars going around you, even in the pit lane at 55 or 60 miles an hour, that's highway speeds.
Yeah.
And then you got like this chunky cameraman carrying like this big roving camera behind you. It's a little bit different. It's a different ball game, figuratively and literally. So that's kind of how I got really good at casting Mario Kart. I mean, there's really not many people casting Mario Kart, so that's kind of what got me into it.
I plan to put it in my Twitter bio soon. If I'm allowed to do that, but Chris,
you
please.
should. No, I was gonna say you should. I think. Well, the reality is because this game, not that it's not meant to be streamed, you can stream any game you want. But as far as streaming an entire tournament, there isn't really the infrastructure to do that. Well, I think there is, but I don't think anyone's really put it together yet, which is sort of where I've come in because I actually have a pretty good sense of what to do with it. So, I mean, I think being a caster for Mario Kart is actually really good, especially if you do have racing experience, because there's a certain lingo that goes with that, whether it be like a cartoon Nintendo character racer or like actual NASCAR. There's racing is racing, and it's such a big fan base. You think about something like NASCAR has such a massive following, and it's really strange to see. It's like a whole sector of people that is different than your traditional sport following. So I do think that, in this case where we're racing in video games, like there's only potential for that to grow, especially as esports is now like the buzzword and the thing that everyone's working towards.
For sure, man, for sure. I mean, I feel like I have to tell a little bit of my story here because it's relatively similar. I mean, the way that I got involved as a Smash Brothers commentator and eventually grew to be, one of the most notable ones in the area is that I would just go around my neighborhood just, throwing banana peels and just punching people in the face. And, just throwing little bullet bills. Like, I would have my friends come by and jump out of these little trophies and everything. It was like, and then I just thought, I thought to myself, what if I do that in like the video game instead? And just the rest was history. So
yeah, I think a lot of us started there. Not a lot of us had the real racing experience, except for just like the thing that you just described.
Yeah, no meme aside, that's a really, really cool story night. That is not what I expected to hear from you, like to have that IRL experience like that.
What's crazy too is I actually transferred out of my freshman year from a school in Rhode Island to I'm from New England, honestly, so I respect the whole tri-state vibe. And then I moved to North Carolina with the team, and I was a big risk because they're like, yeah, you can get accredited classes here, just race with us. So I did, and I got mentored by NASCAR drivers like Parker Kligerman, I raced with Travis Pastrana when he had to run in NASCAR and go-karts. So, and I kind of like have experience in like dirt racing, but yeah, I mean, this is racing to me too. I mean, there's the same strategy. It's hitting your lines, drifting, knowing when to use your items. I do want to clear one thing up, and then I'll go back into it. But Glenn and I got into it a couple weeks ago. But I was just item chaining. Basically, you'll kind of see it here. This player was taking his star out, or taking the bananas out, used his star, and now we got another star and triple shrooms. So I think this might be Jinja.
Yeah,
so
this is Jinja.
He's very good at it. He's a mid-tier like a US player in terms of his division level, and that's what he does. Like he's cycling his items all the time to make sure he gets the best item possible. So it could appear like in one of those team modes when you're shuffling your items that, yeah, I'm throwing items away, which I am. I'm actually not trying to hit someone on my own team, but I'm trying to get the best item possible to save myself for later, like when that shock just happened, for instance.
Dude, yeah, there's a whole different mindset in terms of like there's a little bit more strategy in this game than I think is let on, because there is also a lot of RNG all at the same time. And I know Nintunus and I talk about this every week in terms of maybe the game not being the best iteration in terms of item distribution, but the reality is whether it be the best or the worst doesn't really matter. There's still an effective way to use the items and kind of anticipate some of the RNG with that. And that
would like to say, I was playing Mario Kart 64 yesterday, just out of the blue, and I got stars in like 3rd place like twice.
I just want to point out, I see Moosh and I saw Aceto, so we're getting more Smash players starting to play Mario Kart. This is actually really hype. I'm glad this is happening today. And I might actually have my hands. Knight, I'm gonna have to have a call with you at some point. Maybe we'll set something up tomorrow. But basically, so you see how I do the multi-streams now and the way I have this all structured. But there's apparently some technology that sort of does this for me. That I've made a little bit of an introduction to the person who runs it. So we might be able to run these things a little bit different too, depending if if we keep getting the traction and the people keep liking the stream, and people want to stream more of it. It seems like the technology is only going to get better to do it, especially if there isn't going to be a spectator mode in this game, which there probably isn't. I can't even imagine the next Mario Kart game having a spectator mode still for some reason. For some reason, it feels like it's still like we're a ways from that. I don't know why, but it does.
I'm still trying to figure out who that PH person is up top. I don't know if that's actually somebody in PH or not. I saw Heartless playing under his name, not Rockman. But yeah, if I catch anything out of the corner of my eye that's like a good strategy play, I'll point it out for sure. We're kind of still early on into things, and yeah, I'm seeing a lot of different names like regulars. I'm seeing Vegas players, seeing competitive players. But yeah, what's really cool about this tournament is there's just so many unique players. I mean, Kunio now is on stream. He's in an inward bike. I mean, it's pretty interesting.
So the thing that I've noticed too is there's obviously massive what do you call it? Massive crossover between like Smash, which is where this channel started. And then obviously there's Mario Kart on its own, but like obviously if you have a Nintendo system, chances are you probably own Mario Kart. And the reason is because it's the best-selling game on the console right now.
I will tell you, I'm sorry, Chris.
Please. That's all I had. I'm just always amazed by that because I always have to remind people this is a port. This is a port of an old game. But here it is, best-selling game.
That it is. I mean, I will tell you guys. I mean, when my you can already even look at the statistics as well, and how this is currently and probably will be for, quite a while. Maybe not too much longer with how Animal Crossing has been doing. That this is bar none the highest selling game on the Switch. And I will tell you, in my brief stint when I was working with Nintendo, when I was just in the stores promoting and whatnot, this game, I can't even count on pretty much every separate appendage on my body and probably other people's bodies how many copies of Mario Kart 8 that I sold. It was I always recommended it to everybody. It was always when they were looking for just an easy game the whole family could play, together, from the casual side of things or competitive, whatever, that there was always Mario Kart just had something for everybody. And to extend on Chris's point that this game wasn't a port, yes, it was a port, but it was a port of a really, really great Mario Kart game that was unfortunately stuck on Nintendo's one of their most least successful consoles. And Nintendo is still trying to branch out of that. 3D World and Pikmin 3 are, I believe, two of their only real big first-party titles that they have yet to port from the Wii U over to the Switch to officially make the Wii U a paperweight. But it's getting there. It's getting to that point. I'm telling you, from IRL, this game is just so popular. And I think the fact that, the Wii U was such an unsuccessful console is what really skyrocketed, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe specifically into the Fortuna that it really has been for us at this point. And I think it's just developed a lot of these amazing scenes as well. I for one, when I started commentating these circuits, I started doing it rather than, streaming it and playing in them, because I thought to myself, this is where I could best serve the Glentendo circuit, because I've gone on record in saying the Glentendo circuit means so much to me. It was there for me at a very dark time in my life, and it's there for me, like, while we continue to muster through these times, is something we could all continue and love to do. But, like, I never expected to learn so much about, like, just the inner mechanisms and, you know, competitive fundamentals of a game like Mario Kart 8, as well as, you know, to meet these, all these various players and whatnot, like Knight included here. So I'm really just astounded and amazed, and frankly so happy to see the Glentendo circuit, like, rise from just a bunch of guys who wanted to get Glenn to just shut the hell up and stop bragging about, you know, being the best at Mario Kart, because that's literally what the circuit started out as.
That's actually true.
Technically true. It just started out as a bunch of guys who just wanted to beat Glenn.
Shut up about Mario Kart, bro. The craze is gonna die as soon as you're done. Stop.
God, dude, you're not that good. Oh my God. And Glenn is very, very good at the game. Not the top player in the, you know, the pretty much the base Glentendo circuits before a lot of the Vegas players and, you know, the Pirate Crew came in and whatnot. You gotta pretty much give that to Kugi at this point, among the most consistent. I mean, along these players. I mean, hasn't placed first in a little bit, but that's because the tournaments, my friend, and I think Knight can vouch for it as well, with all his cohorts that have come in here to show us what they got. These tournaments, man, gotten a lot more stacked. Or should I say, if it's Pirate Crew, should I say mates instead of cohorts, or did pirates call each other cohorts?
It's really not so much PH. I mean, Ginger right there, he's representing his tag higher octave. It's more the competitive scene, but there were always competitive players before I even knew about. I know that the French community, they have a few players that come in with Shakai from Melodia, and then there's PM Florent Sanchez from Princess Monarchy. He plays a lot, so there's always varying competitive players in it, and that's kind of how the Vegas scene found out about it. And that's a combination of a lot of different players that play at that land. So really, it's more just the competitive scene. I think overall, I mean, I'll be honest, like, nobody even stands a chance against any Japanese player. Japan and France, they are the top players in this game. As far as American players go, I could easily vouch and say that there's some top 50, top 100 players here in Glentendo circuit, though.
That's crazy. So I'm very interested in that. So I know every game, like the rankings for games are basically at the whim of who is there first and who wanted to take the time to actually give towards the community to give some rankings. So with MK Central in mind, and you have your own series, Kart Clash, tell us a little bit about how the crews work, because if you go to MK Central, you see a lot of events and there are some crews. So how does, like, the actual meat and potatoes of competitive Mario Kart, like, work?
Yeah, so that's the thing. When you say competitive Mario Kart, there's so many different avenues you could branch out to it. I mean, that could mean Glentendo circuit to some people. Granted, tournament, it's not Glentendo circuit when I say this, by the way. It's tournament mode is very limited with what it can show. So not the best representation, just because of the nature of the format and the shuffling and things like that kind of really honestly spice up how well all these racers on the Glentendo circuit play against each other. But then you also have, like, LAN events, free-for-alls, 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s. So there's some varying tournaments there on the MKC side of things. But also, more importantly, the biggest, I'd say, competitive landscape for Mario Kart is 6v6. So you take all the RNG out of it, you're working in a team of 6, and how can you advance yourself up to get, you know, the most points possible? That's where the big league runs on Sunday mornings. I mean, our team went 2-0 against a Latin American team and a Mexican American team today. So it's really kind of unique. But that's kind of how the landscape goes. There's different tournaments on different days. Sundays is the biggest competitive tournament day. And all these tags that you're seeing, like Munchie for AP, that's Apex Racing. They're an American team that's just getting started. There's just so many different teams. There's 92 in total that are participating, and it's really cool just seeing some of the racers being, or just participating, I guess, in Glentendo circuit.
So 92 teams. So if I go to, like, MK Central, 92 teams, and you could basically sign up a team at any point, or like, what's the qualification for teams?
Absolutely. You need 9 players because you need 6 to start. So they make it 9 for, you know, some added cushion. But yeah, there's 92 active teams, and there's probably hundreds of teams that are on the registry, and they not only do Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but MK Tour, and I think there's a few others. There's 200cc mode. I'm a Division 1 200cc player. I'm actually better, I think, at 200cc, honestly, than 150, which sounds weird.
Different game.
I'm on a really solid team, so give them credit. But yeah, look at Kugi though, in a great place here with the shock. A few players in his lobby dodging behind him that are going to be immune from the effects of the shock. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Like I love like just talking strategy and like formating a pack and just trying to take people out systematically. And that's kind of why I like the team mode a lot, as much as people really don't take it seriously.
I feel like the team mode's like an opportunity for sort of just, not only do you just get the wheel time against people who are really good, but you also just like, I don't know, there's always something you could pick up when you race. At least I like to think about that about most things. Like even if you're not necessarily going super try hard or you don't care, like having a live player who you're familiar with helps you kind of understand where you're at a little better than just say like doing online lobbies where you're just getting random people every time. Like there's no way of knowing who you're racing against or what the scale is. At least in these circuits, you get some familiar names and have an idea of some general skill levels to kind of, you don't always want to compare yourself skill level wise, but just to sort of give you an idea in terms of things you could improve on, or just even parts of races that maybe you're not optimizing. So yeah, I mean, Tendo circuit, I'm so intrigued by like the 3v3s and 4v4s that you were mentioning earlier. That is something I would love to see that the circuits turn into, but that's kind of on Glenn. I guess I could technically probably like figure something out, but then I'll probably change it to, actually I don't know, I'd probably keep the Glentendo circuit brand. But
I gotta say, it kind of reminds me of Team Fortress 2. If you talk about one of the bigger, most notable competitive formats of this game being in a 6v6 kind of way, because it's another way that the game is not necessarily traditionally played, because that's like a sort of a 9-class based first-person shooter in which there are 6 teams that have like pretty much 6 specific classes that always go against each other. They found something that is considered sort of the optimal one. So it's really interesting to hear that when a lot of our discourse has been in talking about the Tendo circuit and like how it's, I don't know, it's like relatively seen as a little bit more of a casual event because we never had the cleanest format for it. I don't know if Chris ever told you, but our first time really running the Tendo circuit, we had some issues with Smash GG. We ran a bracket on it, and people were not like just checking in and everything like that, and it sort of. And then it became a little bit more of a casual thing in which Glenn came up with like a theme every week, either heroes versus villains, king versus queens, which was like male characters versus female characters, whatnot. I asked humans versus animals. Never took that one seriously out of my suggestions. So shout out to Glenn. You're really cool, bro.
Well, the problem, dude, he just went red versus blue all the time. I think he got so shook from that team thing, kind of wanted to make it something else and realized that, not using a female character doesn't guarantee that the person is going to pick like blue team, you know what I mean? So I think it's sort of just that's what happened.
It was more so, yeah, that's why we were talking about it as sort of like a more for fun kind of thing. Like, how do you really measure that sort of how do you sort of measure that quote unquote competitive integrity because of it? And it's why at least the Tendo circuit specifically was seen as more of a casual thing, while the Glentendo circuit itself, the Sunday ones, have been considered more of the big main events. So I gotta ask, as far as like, your 6v6 format, what are the actual logistics of running that, especially if that is considered, one of the biggest or more notable or main formats of competitive Mario Kart? Because I gotta ask, like for us, what we put on, like for the Glentendo circuits being what they are, that's actually the kind of stuff that we've struggled with the most as Cuneo finishes 4th in that race. Actually, HA above him, good stuff to him. But I just have to ask about those logistics and how exactly are these ran?
I mean, honestly, it's kind of a simple answer. It's pretty much turnkey. I mean, everyone knows the format. Everyone reads up on the rules. There's one host. One team's home, one team's away. And the hostess has to provide a friend code. They're the ones hosting the room. All 12 players from both teams join the room, and it's just basically a 12 race, normal items, 150cc match. And, the team with the top combined score at the end of the 12 races wins. So it's just kind of a format that everyone's kind of come to recognize, and it's just easy to execute. So all 92 teams, they have competent individuals that are leading, that are just making sure things are getting set up and started. And the matches run, they just post their screenshots, and then admins and there's referees in each division. They just double check and make sure it was a legitimate match, and then they just keep track of it.
Okay, wow. That's you definitely did make it sound so simple. I mean, I guess one of the things that would differentiate, the official ones like that, I should say, well, not the official ones, it's not the best term I should put, but just those in comparison to something that we was a little more new to us, I should say, a few months ago, like the Tendo circuit and the Glentendo circuit. is that oh wow, oh the train totally left the station on that one. I like totally lost my train of thought. Wow, that's embarrassing. The point is, you definitely did make it sound a lot simple as it came back to me. I guess you have like actual set teams coming together beforehand, and for something like the Tendo circuit that is taken a little more casually in the Glentendo server Discord, I mean, I guess we don't really have very many set specific teams for it. So I guess that might have a little more to do with it. And I did want to ask one more in case you had another question before I decided to ask that one, Chris. If you wanted to I don't know if you wanted to take turns or if you had any thoughts lingering.
No, man, I'm just kind of listening, absorbing, because I was thinking about ways to basically, I mean, it's already all together, but basically ways to just optimize even how this circuit works. And I know that there's already a lot of existing teams, so I just wonder where that kind of goes and how they organize. Because if there's something every single night, I would assume that means that there is probably like a couple teams that just regularly host events, is my guess.
Yeah, they run like scrimmages all the time. I mean, I think for something like Glentendo, like this format works. I think that the one thing is just that tournament mode's limiting, but also just for Glenn's defense too. I mean, Smash GG is super limited with do for Mario Kart. So like one of our members of my team, Bear, he actually works for Smash GG. He's aware of it, trying to get some things done to optimize that a little bit, I hope. But yeah, I mean, the future's bright though. I think, that's one thing you can look forward to, especially if you're like an avid Mario Kart fan. You want to play more of these tournaments.
That's a wonderful thing, man. That's just honestly amazing. And I gotta ask you off the top of my head, you see a lot of these different streamer layouts that you get when we do this little ESPN format, and sometimes they'll have different things. They'll have their point counters up there, they'll have something memey on there or whatever, and I don't know if you're gonna notice, and it's one of the things that leads me to asking this question. Above Koogie's little camera there, you'll notice it's a very constant of his stream. He's got the light counter. For every time he gets hit by a lightning, he just he decides to put another marker on that one just to see how much it gets, and that is because, in case I'm not mistaken, I believe he's not the biggest fan of that item. And if you go into the Glentendo circuit Discord, you'll see a lot of players who are relatively new to competitive Mario Kart as well. It is a very highly complained about item, which leads me to ask two questions, which are basically the same question. What are your opinions on the general item balancing of this game? Like, what items do you think are better than others in terms of balancing and the competitive format that you've created? Which ones do you think are a little more skewed, a little more casual based, I suppose, ones that might be a little more unfair? And for me specifically, I gotta ask, what do you think about lightning as an item? Because honestly, it's gonna be real, we all hate it.
To be perfectly honest, this is a very interesting question, but honestly, the one item, if you put a gun to my head and you said, what item would you get rid of in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I would say the blooper. It's useless. It's absolutely useless. As far as lightning goes, I would like to think that I'm one of the better players that knows how to manipulate and use the lightning. I know for Division 1 200cc, where the action's a little bit more fast, items are a little bit more broken, I can pull, in a matter of 12 races, comfortably 7 to 8 shocks. 7 to 8 lightning. So it's all based off of, the items are based off of the distance where you are relative to the leader. So if you actually know where you are relative to where the leader is, pack is broken up, you have a really solid chance of predicting when you're going to be able to pull lightning. So lightning shouldn't be an issue. You should just be aware that someone's going to get the lightning or have a power item. I could actually cast like the next race, and I could probably confirm, like here in Royal Raceway, great shock track, especially because of the fact that there's the glider section, right? That huge glider section, you can like literally target shock the player. Don't know what that means. That means you can literally intentionally use the lightning over the glider, make them sink into the water, and then have like Latitude reset them, or Lactu. So that's something to keep in mind too. Like, there's very intentional uses of the lightning. If you're in a casual lobby, and the issue with tournament mode is there's computers. So 9 times out of the 10, the computers are so far back because they're not as good. They're going to be able to pull the lightning and actually wins the race. That's the reason why a lot of competitive players choose not to do tournament mode, not necessarily Glentendo circuit, but just tournament mode. It just has limitations because you need bots on to keep the scores consistent, but having them off actually promotes better racing to a degree. But it's just there's not much you can do. So like it's a common problem for everybody, not just the Glentendo circuit, but that's an issue when it comes to the lightning too.
Now, that was a very common complaint of the North America Open that Nintendo held a few weeks ago, is that the rooms they didn't have CPUs. They just didn't have them, and if they didn't happen to be there, you just got less points for winning the races, and therefore the final tallies were skewed. I remember Glentendo himself actually telling me that he went a whole day without dropping any races, and that they, because of just those point disparities from being in rooms that had less people, which is something that in that format that Nintendo ran that tournament in was just completely out of the control of the player. There was nothing they could do about that, and it just led to some points being skewed in the eyes of just a good competitive format. It was probably the most common complaint of that tournament. I remember that happening a lot. I was waiting so long to just get into a lobby, and I got into a lobby. There weren't that many people in it. I won, and I got how many? 3 points winning a race. And when somebody else just happened to have gotten a fuller lobby because, there were no CPUs on, like you mentioned. And and as a result, they just didn't get it. I mean, whatever. It was Nintendo just putting on another event. I mean, when it comes to, and I can personally vouch for this because I come from the Smash community of all places. I can definitely say that Nintendo does not always understand, their games when it comes to, the hardcore players of them, from the esports side of it, especially, Smash Brothers, when you see the tournaments that they put on once in a blue moon, and the fact that, we play a fighting game that doesn't have rollback netcode, which is already a giant meme in itself. But it's very interesting to hear your perspective on that, and to hear how Item is, at least in, our little circle of competitive Mario Kart, is complained about. And not as frequently as it used to be, as we've all grown, with the circuits and whatnot, but one that is still complained about as much, even, to have an actual pro player explain the logistics of it and how an item like that could be used, and to hear that, the blooper, of all things, is something that could be on the downside. I definitely vouch that we just make blooper playable, but then if we did that, I'm sure the item would still be in the game. I don't know, that's just my 2 cents on that one. Kamek was apparently supposed to be in this game. Fun fact, but he got cut again. No matter what Mario Kart they're going to say, they're going to put him in 64, Mario Kart 8, whatever. He just always gets shafted right towards the end for whatever reason. So, Kamek, here's to you. Here's the MK9, buddy.
Yeah, it's literally just a double-edged sword, however you think about it, because you're going to get shafted. Like, in your scenario, right? You won in a 3-person lobby. That's the equivalent of getting 10 in a full lobby. Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. And then the problem here is that, you have these computer players influencing your race, but the scores are at least all going to be even, but it really doesn't show the true sense of skill, because you could have gotten gypped the line by a computer player, way in the back, just getting a random item. So that's kind of why there's a lot of competitive players that choose not to do tournament mode. It's a double-edged sword, and I mean, you can do friend rooms, but then the other problem with friend rooms is that you have to have players that know what they're doing to be able to execute a tournament like that, and it requires a lot more organizing. So you're kind of stuck with this format. I think out of all the formats, this one's fine. It's just a little bit brutal when you're getting wrecked by things outside of your control. But if you're a good enough player, you're going to know how to avoid that and know when to expect things. Like if you're looking right now at Melbourne, here on the bottom, you're seeing the whole horde of bot players and a whole different hemisphere of the map on Retro Mario Circuit. So a shock is likely going to be coming in here probably within the next 2 bosses or so. So I'm just going to cast this race pretty quickly. So if you look right now, you look at that villager, you look at the Daisy and the Yoshi, you can't really see anything that they have yet. Oh, there you go. There it is. So one of the bottom 3 had one of the shocks, and you're probably going to see some of them activate, if one of them did get the double box, an item pretty soon, but they're all coming up on the next box now. But that's just something you need to look at the mini map and say, hey, they're really far back, one of them mathematically has it, and boom, that's gonna make your race.
Very interesting. You just see it's just part of the game, understanding, the CPU habits as well, and just creates a much better competitive format than one where, the skill, what am I trying to say? The skill is not really accurately shown by not having the CPUs, which is something I feel like pretty much almost every, if not every casual player would probably immediately think, oh, we're having a competitive Mario Kart tournament. If we're really trying to show skill here, we should turn CPUs off, because, then it's AI. It's just going to get in the way, But then when you think about, the actual, logistics of it, you just explaining that to me, you instead see them as sort of just part of the game. And it's so interesting, actually, that actually becomes something that the player, once again, has to be mindful for. And it's just something else that they can, work and adapt around. it's really, really fascinating to see something like that I feel like most people would consider a big detriment to most competitive games, like AI that you can't control. It's just, it all depends on the context and the actual, format that you're deciding to go for it in. Because to think about something like that even that, in that situation, that a player can just adapt to, I don't know about you, but I think that's a very big-brained way to play Mario Kart and, really showcase the true skill of what these players can do. So I definitely appreciate you explaining that to me, and it makes total sense from the way that you put it. And honestly, from the way that Glenn put it too, like when the CPUs are in this, I never questioned it too much. I always thought it's just so we could just still have like full lobbies, even when we didn't happen to wind up in a full lobby, just because 12-person races are more exciting than ones that just have less players. I feel like, with how big the tracks are, the way they're sort of designed, they're designed to have 12 people instead of like just, what am I trying to say? Just 4 or whatever, how many are actually in a lobby. Ever since Mario Kart Wii, when they actually added, 12 person races rather than just 8 like the games used to be. So I gotta say, it's really interesting to hear that from your perspective. It really takes a very interesting spin on a game like Mario Kart, a game that appeals to the casual audience of Nintendo more than just about literally any other Switch game, considering it is still the highest selling game by a huge margin. I mean, like we mentioned earlier, Animal Crossing is looking like it actually might surpass that. I mean, that game is sort of a victim of circumstance. It couldn't have really came out at a better time for Nintendo, good for them. But yeah, I gotta say, that's just it's very interesting hearing you explain that to us.
And if you just look at those last 2 races on, I think it was Yoshi Valley and Cold Brew's PV, there was a late shock there. But if you notice, Kunio ended up getting into first place. The shock came in, a blue shell came in from the computer player. He clearly outclassed everybody, but Jin just stole it from him because of the fact that he got blued by the computers, and then that shock came in, and Jinji just had the preferred item. So another shock coming into play here. We saw a Mel Green. So, we're going to see who that's going to end up benefacting, and that's going to be one of the Metal Marios there in the back. And that's one of the things you just have to be aware of. I mean, I think at least it's the lesser of 2 evils having the computers on, knowing that you're going to get an even points distribution rather than not having them on and having unweighted rooms. Because what you're going to notice is in those Nintendo tournaments, people can actually literally quit the room if they don't feel like it's going to fill up to 12. And that's ends up what people are doing. They just quit the rooms and they try to look and hunt for 12-player rooms. That's how they win the tournament. And then on the other hand, you have players that could be potentially or allegedly bot farming in tournaments like Glentendo. And I admit, I had to do it once. I started 15 minutes late. I overslept. And when you're in that little window when everyone's finished, and it's just you and a few people, the odds of you getting a higher finish because the computers are significantly higher. So you're going to be getting more points. So really, it is a little bit interesting. I think, honestly, in my opinion, anyone that finishes in the top 8 is really a winner at the end of the day.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's a good sentiment. Especially because these things have been getting so competitive recently, and you have had so many strong players coming through and from all different places. Obviously, like if you're able to just sort of hit that consistent enough territory where you're placed in top 8, or even if you're not consistent, but if you're hitting that top 8 mark, like it's something to be proud of. There's been some real heavy hitters in these races. Including Kugi, who does have a way of sniffing out a first place here and there, although this might be a little bit of a slower lobby. And I gotta get a check on our entrant count today. Last week we had 47. This week I would imagine we're probably somewhere in that. This was a full lobby, by the way.
Look at that.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I would imagine we might be sitting probably in that 30 range for the average, but who knows? Turnout really has been good, and there's been people, they just kind of pop in, and that's kind of the format, is pop in at any time, and that is something where the tournament mode's really good because you're not really limited to necessarily a strict time frame because it is hard to organize that many people at once. But then, you already mentioned this night, you're just really at the whim of all those bots and kind of the way the system works. But it wasn't as bad last week when we had a lot of entrants, obviously, but it is definitely a thing.
More full rooms make for a better tournament, and I will say this, I think out of any of the regulars, Kugi definitely has. I mean, he's fast, don't get me wrong, but what really sets him apart is his awareness of what's going on and playing situationally very well. So that really does tend to help him in a lot of cases.
Yeah, he does. Dude, he's been grinding this game really hard. Ever since he's been a week 1 guy for Glentendo circuit, and he very quickly took to the game. Decided just to basically grind out time trials and try to optimize his the kart, what racer he's playing as, and I think the awareness sort of came from that. So I don't know. It does go to show you what a grind can do, but. Then you see some people I'm just watching. I'll get him on the screen now. I'm just watching Jinja, Jinja's already there. Yeah, so I'm just watching Jinja, and it's just funny seeing some of these guys. You could tell have been playing for so long, just doing things like even just there.
He backed up to make sure Cuneo got hit with the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right there, exactly, right on cue. So here we go. Now he's gonna get himself a nice little free move into first place. Really, just at just being aware, as you had mentioned, because you could sort of, I guess. It totally makes sense. You could expect when those blue shells might be coming around because there's going to be at least one. They're going to be in the race.
Even as 2 people who were relatively newer to the scene, me and Chris, I mean, we were just by commentating these circuits and Chris streaming them, of course, we've seen certain player habits and, we've seen certain disparities between some players and other ones as, as these circuits have gotten more and more competitive. Like item farming. I think we were asking you a question or something before. You were answering a question, but a couple races ago, Kugi was in 10th, and he was just backing up to get in 10th because he just wanted to get a bullet bill and stuff, and he did. And he got a bullet bill and a boot. It was just rocking himself all the way back up there. And initially, like months ago or weeks ago, whenever, I think it was more like months ago at this point, we were like, why is he doing that? He's backing up. He's going like in 10th place, and then we realized that we were like, despite before even really like meeting anybody from the established Mario Kart competitive scene, we did see some things that they were doing. Like before, when what's his name? When it was Ginja, not Melpool. When it was Ginja who was backing up right there, I didn't question why he was doing that. Like I didn't see the blue shell in the map yet, but then when I looked and I saw it, I'm like, why else would he be doing that? In that position. You know what I'm saying? So, and we have seen. Not just these new strategies that we've learned what they are, but we've really seen the disparities in them being used by some players over than others because we've gotten a lot of streamers from these tournaments now, Knight. I mean, when I started with the Glentendo circuit, it actually got me back into my personal stream for a little while just because I loved the circuit so much and I wanted to support it in any way I can just by there having more streams for us to be able to watch and do it. Later on, I realized, that wasn't the best way I could really service the circuits anymore because I realized we had a lot of streamers. And I noticed, Chris just didn't have somebody to commentate with as much anymore. We used to have Greg Gonzalez in here a couple of times. And I noticed he was commentating a lot by himself. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. I don't want that. And so, I did it too. And, I've been working with Chris for a very long time at this point, actually. So, it was nothing different to me. And, I love what I do. And I know I'm blessed to be able to do it. So, point is, from doing these, we've seen so many different streamers, and not all of them are at the same level, of course. You're going to have that sort of disparity. I mean, right here, we really had, the big kahuna and Kugi, who is easily one of the best players in the Glentendo Circuit Discord. He went on a whole spiel, actually, recently on Twitter. Not like a bad spiel. It was a good spiel. Not the kind of bad spiel that, makes your heart hurt from Twitter anxiety or whatever. The good kind of spiel where he was talking about, Mario Kart strategies and whatnot. He wanted us to understand something. And that alone, when he was just talking about all the different mechanics that he thought that, we weren't initially getting, just made me realize this guy just sees the game in a totally different way than most players in that Discord do. Just the way that he was talking about it, he broke it down to a science. You could tell he was all about that grind for the most part. I mean, Kugi was an avid Smash player for a long time, and he still does play Smash every now and again, but really very rarely nowadays. It's all about the Mario Kart for him now, so it's really hype to see a guy that we've known in our community for as long as we have, just get that passion for another game. It's a beautiful thing to see. Honestly,
I think it just makes it relatable. I think a lot of times people have to put the stuff in reference, and you'll see people like Vertex. You'll see, all these guys coming from Kart Clash, like Jinja, even who we have. Patrick on the screen.
That scared the hell out of me.
By the way, did anyone see that Kugi was literally light years ahead of the field? Then he got blued. There was a shock that came into play, and then he got hit between the gap in the map. And then Kiro just stole that victory from him. My heart just sank. But I also just do want to say, off an Nintendo's point, though, that I did watch. I think the majority of that video that he posted about the rant. And honestly, yeah, I have a lot of respect for Kugi. He does seem to really know the game very well, and you know, it was well said by him too. So I definitely got to give props to him on that.
Yeah, he has that smart kind of game sense in terms of analyze play, improve play, and then just get better. And that does come a lot from Smash in a different way. And he has that kind of mind. He's a very smart guy in real life, like when you talk to him. So it's no surprise. And I do appreciate that too, as someone who does come from the casting end, mostly as a way to just put the stream together. For people who actually really know what they're doing, but it's really good for me to learn that kind of stuff. And it's good for anyone learning that kind of stuff. Getting insight like that, even if you're just like someone who aspires to play in these tournaments at all, like getting that kind of stuff is, wow, really, really well executed there on his part. But just getting that kind of stuff is so thanks for the sub, dude. Appreciate it. Is very useful, very, very useful in terms of just like getting to know the game or getting better at the game regardless. Even if you're playing casually with friends, just knowing where certain shortcut is or basically just how items sort of work at scale is useful info, even at the casual base. It makes the whole experience more enjoyable.
That it is, my friend. It's a wonderful pleasure to have you here tonight. Just like hearing these different perspectives on the game and just hearing you educate us all about it. And if I may, as we'll talk about the results of this last this race that we got going on here, because it seems like Cunio over here at the right is going to finish in 5th. Not too good, not too bad. Mostly not too bad because it's on the top echelon. Got JJ Vertex up there rocking 163 points. We got Elon Musk's daughter's name, whoever that was, in 3rd place right there. Rocking Metal Mario, which I love to see. That's my main right there. Woo!
Yeah,
and Kugi's going to finish with the DK on a Wiggler right there, placing over EO. I couldn't read the rest of it in time. I definitely read above a 4th grade level. Just want to say that to you guys right now. It just wasn't there that long. So I'm sorry if I didn't read it fast enough. Right, yeah. Point is though. All right, Chris. Point is, I'll go ahead and I wanted to save some of these for the end as Cold Brew is in 2nd place on what I cannot tell is his final lap or not. No, it's looking like this is the 3rd one right here. So yeah, some of their stream layouts are very big brained. I mean, Cold Brews actually is because it's so hype. I mean, because it looks like his stream layout is going to crash any minute now. Yeah, but it's not.
He said
it's just what it looks like.
His e-girl program is broken, sadly, so that's why he's got a little bit of different video on the top right.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard in my entire damn life.
Sad. He seemed kind of sad about it, but I'm sure it'll be up and running soon enough.
I was in love with her.
I know.
But anyway, I was gonna save like some of the fun questions towards the end, but oh my god, it's just burning inside me. I gotta ask you, Knight, your favorite and least favorite track in this game.
Oh boy, my favorite track.
I couldn't wait. I'm sorry, stream. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, mom. I
feel like Baby Park's in its own category.
Yes.
I have a love-hate relationship with it because I had to. One of the formats in Las Vegas is you have to do 200cc Baby Park to like get yourself out of a tiebreaker. And
That's hilarious.
I hadn't lost it for 7 months straight.
Ooh,
don't think I've ever. Well, actually, I do lose before. But I guess out of real tracks, I would say favorite track would probably be Retro Mario Circuit RMC, just because I know how to manipulate the shock there. And I'd say least favorite track, probably, and it's growing on me here, but would probably be Cloud Top Cruise.
Wow.
I just don't like it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cloud Top Cruise, I feel like, is beloved by casuals, to say the least. It used to be one of my favorites, but the more I raced on it, the more I personally have actually grown a little bit more of a dislike for it. I really don't like how the race finishes on that beanstalk. I find it very awkward. You know, I think it's good skill disparity. Right. Yeah, thank you.
And another shot coming into play here, this is going to be a pretty big scrum. That's Jumbo JJ. And I don't know if he got a box. He might have gotten body checked off here. And the ultimate. Wow. And now the red coming into the back of Jinja. This is Mario Kart for you. Oh man.
You know, I mean, folks, sometimes it just happens. I mean, no pun intended here. Literally no pun intended. I swear on my life. Sometimes in Mario Kart, you just get ran over by the items. It's just the way it be. My God, Ginja, that was so unfortunate. That just all fell apart for him. The music just hit him in one ear. And then when that wasn't enough, somebody else with another boombox just kept blasting that same track coming in from behind him. My goodness, sometimes it's... Oh, wow. And here we go to rejoin a different lobby, it looks like. Or different tournaments? What, Ginja? Oh, no, same one. I didn't know what he was doing. I mean, like, I didn't realize he was going down to his reasons, but he's going to be sticking with the Roy here, who, I gotta ask, Roy is among the best characters in this game, right? Isn't, like, the meta, not the meta, I should say, but, like, isn't, like, a big part of the meta him and Morton?
Yeah. It's Roy, Waluigi, and I think I don't know. I'm spacing out here, but it's mainly Roy and Waluigi.
Is
there
it
might be a character?
Is there like King Boo or something? Is like King Boo like a character that's up there? I feel like I've seen a few of them.
It's not the best. Sometimes I'll play just because I like the way it handles, but some players do like King Boo. But heavyweights are the vibe. It's funny because Melpool actually had my original character, this purple ink, but yeah, Inkling's good. It's just that he lacks a little bit of speed, but makes up for it in acceleration. He's a little bit more balanced. Kind of got wedged off there. But yeah, I think for Jinja, though, I think Kunio was the one that added the insult, the double air horn. But if you remember, Kunio got robbed by Jinja twice. One off of that shock on Retro Mario Circuit, and then there was another time as well, too. So I think it was getting a little too heated there for Jinja. I totally understand the play to switch rooms, but that's the thing. He joined a room now with just Adam. Adam's another competitive player from a European team, despite the fact he's from Texas, I believe. But it's just the two of them in the lobby on their own. So guaranteed, right? If you do bad and you get second, you're going to be getting 12 points. So that's just the one issue with tournament mode. You know, I like Jinja was just probably more getting out of that situation because it was getting wrecked, which I understand, but this is going to be an easy 12 to 15 points for him now. So that's the one flaw with tournament that you got to look into.
That's a really good point right there. I mean, I knew in the back of my mind, it's not a flawless system by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, I come from the Smash community, a game, or at least a half of the community that Nintendo hasn't understood for so long. I mean, not that they would ever have to. The game's going to sell no matter what. You know, this isn't a shot at them or anything. But, like, when it comes to, like, you know, the competitive side of their games, it's not something that they always understood as much. So it's just not always going to be as perfect. I mean, look at this game. You know, what does Chris say every week? Game doesn't have a spectator mode.
Nothing.
That sucks.
No,
I would love for it to have a spectator mode. I would watch Mario. It's fun as hell. I used to watch Dashy's videos where he would play Mario Kart. He would go to, like, the replay mode at the end of each race. And he would just create a little story for everything. Like, Roy would just hit a boost and he was hanging with his mouth open, and then he made this dumb joke about how he's just hoping, like, food would fall from the sky. And I thought it was hilarious. You know, like, so, I mean, I would just wish the game had, like, a spectator mode or something like that. Not even just to make Chris's life easier, but just because it's, like, a nice little thing to, like, include. But Nintendo, they're so good at making freaking amazing games and just forgetting one thing. That they're just so amazing at that and so consistent with it in their games, but whatever. It's an issue for another time. We got Kugi with the boomerang on deck, narrowly clutching out second in that race. The boomerang, hell of an item with that intangibility, able to go through shields, of course, but he's able to get second. I can't tell who's in front of him. It is a Roy player that might... I don't think it's Ginja because he's in that other room. It's Vertex, just making sure.
Yeah, Vertex.
Kunio had the shock, too, so you saw Kunio being that far back. Kind of just leveraged the shock there at the end, but he wasn't going to be able to catch up. But, yeah, I mean, this game is just so entertaining. I mean, there's just so many different scenarios and how they can play out with the various items. So many different ways you can take the strategy. Like, it's funny, Kugi actually was taking the preferred line and actually hopping over the rumble strip up the ramp. But when he did that, he actually left himself vulnerable to getting that. So, just little things here and there you kind of noticed, you know. But like in the moment, you know, it's the final lap. You know, you take risks.
Very true, very true. And I must say, you know, Waluigi, it just doesn't surprise me with him being as good of a character as he is. I think they really... I don't think it's a coincidence that, you know, he's never going to be in Smash, and yet he's top tier in, like, every single Mario spin-off game, like, in every single Mario sports game. I just gotta be real. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think they know that he's, like, the spin-off character at this point, because that's pretty much all he's ever been in, and he's just where he shines. I mean, I guess, you know, it makes up for the fact that he doesn't have vertebrae either, you know, which is a very unfortunate thing on his end. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me to see Waluigi being as good as he is, not even just a heavyweight, but the fact that, you know, he's just clamped in with those cruisers as well. Which I gotta ask, Chris was actually telling me this a few weeks ago. It's not just heavyweights, midweights, and lightweights in this game, right? There's also like cruiser class or something, cruiserweight.
I don't really read into much into that. I just refer to them as light, medium, heavy. But there are a few characters like a Morton. It might be Donkey Kong. There is another character with Morton up there that is a little bit heavier. So you get a little bit more speed, and I think it takes out your traction to some degree. But yeah, baby characters have more handling. The top heavyweight characters like a DK have more speed. So that's just something to keep in mind. A lot of the players end up, obviously playing the heavyweights. But yeah, I casted one of the D1 Pro matches today, and literally I think it was 10 Waluigi Scooties or Wigglers, because those are the top two. Bitty Buggy's good as well. That's another meta cart. There was one Roy, and there was one Daisy. So
interesting. Interesting to hear about the Daisy and where that came from, because if I'm not mistaken, she's a midweight. Yeah, no, I suppose. I mean, I'm a midweight player. I play Metal Mario almost exclusively in this game, and I used the pipe frame, I believe the standard tires, and the cloud glider, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, I think I actually switched to the. I think after I unlocked it, I think I switched to the gold glider. I believe, if that's what I did. I haven't played the game in a long time. I've just been more focused on this end. But either way, it's just interesting to hear about those character disparities. Big fan of Daisy myself as well, so I'm happy to see that. Kugi, though, rocking second. It's looking like he's still in this lobby with Vertex ahead of him, but he is going to get blue shelled for his trouble. Is going to slip right past ahead. Got the blooper on deck, but it's not going to matter. Actually timing his mushroom way early on to make sure the speed of it stuck out so we could get rid of the ink on his face. Now a green shell. Going to do the classic Wario minecart trick at the end of it, or Wario's gold mine trick at the end. Easy pickings for him to be able to finish that race. Meanwhile, down at the bottom left, we still got Ginji pretty far ahead here on Hyrule Circuit. I'm not sure who that Waluigi is behind him. That could be. I believe it's JJ. If this isn't the same lobby, because JJ's not in this one. That is either JJ or Glenn. There are two Waluigis in there, but one of them is way, way, way farther back. I'm going to assume that's not Glenn. Oh, but unfortunately missing his bomb toss behind him to stop the red shell. But I mean, it looks like the Waluigi player, and JJ was probably who that is still way far back ahead of him. And then just to add insult to injury, there comes the shock to just finish it out right there, which definitely hit him behind him. So, nothing doing at that point. Basically just a little reset to ensure Vertex's victory at the end of this Hyrule Circuit race. And no, I was wrong the whole time. It was Glenn. Okay.
Yeah, Glenn's really good at getting himself in good positions in his own circuit. He's been plenty competitive himself. The thing is in that last race, Kugi narrowly getting ahead of Vertex, who basically just got itemed right at the end, but otherwise sort of been a little bit dominant here today, which has been the story. Every time Vertex has been entering, he's mostly winning or getting second. So how does Vertex stand as far as the larger competitive scene goes? Is he like... So is there just
nasty?
Is there just where does he fall on the list of Mario Kart racers?
So I'm not super familiar with Vertex because I don't believe he's in the competitive scene. But I know that he plays in tournaments, or used to play in tournaments on the West Coast with Smash Legion, and I'm pretty sure he did pretty well. I actually have a spreadsheet of stuff, and I can't find it. But I know that he's been doing a combination of things. I believe he did play with some of the guys in this West Coast, LA-based type of community. But I could be wrong. But yeah, he's a relatively new name here to Glentendo Circuit. And yeah, he doesn't really have a competitive base. I don't really know too much.
Interesting. That actually makes me pretty happy. It just makes me realize basically how big of a pool of players there are, and how many more people could probably find a more centralized forum. Because I think that's all that's really missing, man. It's like any other gaming scene. How do you grow it? You just need to get basically everything, or a lot of the things centralized, and getting people from all different areas. I know that the Glentendo Circuit is the benefactor of being able to be advertised through a lot of bigger Smash events, because fortunately I get to do a lot of those. And I think there we go, Melpool getting a win. That's pretty solid, and that was a lobby of 6 too. Probably need the points. I am going to get an update on the scores probably after this next run-in. I can't really see. Let's see. I don't know who Hype is. That's actually a new name for me. But yeah,
I think the question that's on everyone's mind right now is, Knight, how exactly did you feel about Garfield flipping you off in the middle of Cold Brew Stream?
I was kind of what's that? But I didn't really pay too much attention to it. But that whole stream, The one thing that I actually would say, if there was one criticism of Bruce's stream, is I didn't know what lap he was on because the chat is so well done. It actually overlaps the lap counter. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like the cool thing about a stream like that is that if he wanted to, and I don't know if he did, or next time we'll go back, I can see, is if he masks his item box so people don't stream snipe him. But yeah, no, I really do love his layout.
It's good.
But yeah,
It's so
I don't
good.
really know much about the Garf at all.
It's just he's a shitter, man. That's all. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know about Cold Brew. He's great though. So
He's just putting it out there.
Dude, Kugi Surgeon. That's actually really good because he did take that last race from Vertex, who's I think pretty well ahead. In fact, I could tell you exactly how well ahead he is. Let me look at the scores. Yeah, so Vertex is currently the only person above 200 points at 202, with Jinja about a little over a race behind at 175. So those have, more than a race, about a couple races behind at 175. But he could have started a little bit later. I'm not entirely sure. And then Heartless currently sitting in third, Adam in fourth, JJ in fifth, Geronimo in sixth, and the point totals start to taper off after Geronimo. Like at that seventh place plus, you go from 157 to 137, and I always get kind of mixed if these people with the Japanese flags are actually from Japan or not, because last time I thought they were, and they were not. So
That's turn 9, by the way, that you're referring to.
It is, yes.
So Sir 9, he is. I think he is Japanese. He's based out of Las Vegas, though.
Okay.
Like, I mean, he rocks the flag, but I think he does speak Japanese, and he has like a history of being from Japan or some degree, or has worked in Japan. So
That
it's kind of like
counts.
he has a license to rock the flag.
I'm gonna count it. Yeah, I'm for it, man. Yeah, because that was the original thing that sort of had me blown back. Is like, wow, we're getting people from, like, as you mentioned, there's all those France players. I think that was the first country to technically invade this particular tournament, and then I think obviously like I think there's been some Mexico representation. I've seen someone from Britain before, if not a couple. So that's the cool part to me is this game is able to actually sustain that, because as we all know, a lot of the Nintendo games aren't able to sustain. I mean, I'm saying a lot, but passive aggressively referring to Smash. But I don't know. I guess not that many other Nintendo games really played like at scale like this.
Just the ones that sell the most. Those are the ones with the rollback netcode.
I mean,
because I will tell you,
sells a lot, though.
I loved Mario Tennis Aces a lot, and that game. Oh,
was
man,
it bad?
One patch they released that just destroyed it, but
really,
whatever. That's a discuss. Yeah. I mean, even sometimes with a LAN adapter, it can work. I think it might be better than it used to be. I haven't played it in a hot minute, but Bowser Jr. in that game was copiously
he was broken.
Like,
I heard that. Yeah.
And in the patch that nerfed him, and just to put in perspective, yes, they had to nerf a character in a Mario sports game. That's how bad he was. And then in that same patch, they just destroyed the Wi-Fi. It was tragic.
How's
and
that even
I loved that
happen?
game. I was grinding it so hard, man. They kept adding characters to it. It was, I think it's better than it used to be, but now you have to wait forever for a match. I was just streaming it and I was just waiting for damn near 25 minutes, literally just for the last match of a tournament. It's God, please. It's this is really this right here is really one of the only competitive Nintendo games on the Switch that really has good Wi-Fi. And even then, you'll still dip out once in a blue moon for a communication error or something like that. Look at Smash right now. Now we have bigger prize pools than we've ever had for it because of the Quarantine series and whatever other Wi-Fi tournaments that are coming out. And
the game just drops.
It's horrendous.
It's so funny.
It's horrendous, dude. I came in to Platinum Star Online yesterday to commentate top 8, and I started right after a communication error that Chris had with Stu, the announcer.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those, but that's just the nature of the beast. But I can't even really think of any other competitive, oh my god, Kugi just narrowly getting third. That was close. Actually, who's that Tanuki Mario? I feel like no one uses him. Oh, it's literally Tanuki Mario. That's why. I was I forgot this character's even in the game.
For us, he's not in the game, but Doc, he's in the game, but Doc.
Yeah,
Mario
right. That
not.
seems like I just, I don't know, man. We talk about Nintendo Kart a lot, and maybe that's the future, but I think that's probably just wishful thinking.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, I'm not completely sure, and I'll ask Knight about this too. I would love to include him in this conversation. because I like to include people. Inclusivity is important.
Ooh,
but the hashtag inclusivity, I guess. Whatever. Point is, I think it's like one of the only ways that they could really work. Because in my opinion, I think Nintendo Kart, if the Switch is going to have an original Mario Kart game, I think it is only going to work if the next Mario Kart entry in the series is a Nintendo Kart game that features multiple playable characters like Samus, Link, as we already have in Smash. What else? Like Kirby, the whole shebang. Star Fox, Pikachu. That. I mean, sort of have like Smash Brothers for Mario Kart. And the reason I think this is because, like I said, I used to be a brand ambassador for Nintendo. It was a temp gig for a few months, and I literally talked with the parents when they're buying games for their kids for either their birthday or for whatever their whatchamacallit, or Christmas coming up, whatever holiday is coming up towards the end of the year. And from their perspective, you ask them, you're gonna tell them about whatever Mario Kart 9, a brand new Mario Kart game for the Nintendo Switch. They're gonna be like, doesn't the Switch already have Mario Kart? And you're gonna say like, oh yeah, but this is different. They're gonna be like, why would I buy this if the Switch already has Mario Kart? And the game better have something pretty damn discernible in it for you to sell it on the same console. It's not gonna work. Like if they released another Smash Brothers game on the Switch right now, it would probably still sell. I think Smash might be the anomaly on that front. But point is, people are gonna be like, I just bought Smash on the Switch. What am I gonna do that? From the casual side of things, that's not gonna work. So if they just released another Mario Kart game, since already the most and highest selling one, which is hilarious because it's a port, is on the Switch already. So I think the only way that Nintendo could possibly justify selling another Mario Kart game on the Switch is if it was so different. And by so different, I mean basically Smash Brothers Kart, like for the with all like the different characters, different tracks and stuff, like set some tracks in Hyrule, some in Dreamland, the whole shebang. I think that is the only way that they could possibly justify selling another Mario Kart game, because casual players aren't going to want to, necessarily purchase another Mario Kart if they've already bought one for the Switch in that department. They're not hardcore gamers. They're not going to buy the next thing because they're just always diehard fans of like the company and whatnot. A big part of the audience is not like that. It would probably still sell, but I'm not sure if it would work. Like, people are saying like, oh, Nintendo should give people the option, if they like the older Paper Mario games better, to remaster those. But what is that going to do? Because like there's a new Paper Mario game coming out in July, and if they release like an HD remaster of Thousand Year Door, guess what's going to happen? All the casual gamers are going to purchase the new Paper Mario. They're not going to get the HD remaster because they're going to be like, why would I do that when I could buy the new one? And all the hardcore Paper Mario fans who only like the old games are going to buy the HD remasters, and then as a result, they're not going to give the new one a try. All it would do is split the sales in half. This is why, in my opinion, I think Nintendo Kart needs to happen. I think it's the only way Nintendo can possibly justify putting another original Mario Kart game on the Switch. If they make another Mario Kart game and just put one new nifty feature in it on the Switch, whatever, it's still going to sell. But it's not going to sell as hard to the casual market. That's just the way I see it. As somebody who was literally on the floor doing the sales and whatnot, just talking to these people directly, that's just the way I see it, personally. I mean, I'm sure I would buy it. You would probably buy it, Knight. Chris, you'd probably have to buy it. But
yeah, probably.
That's just the way I see it.
Well, I think that's pretty reasonable. It is.
Yeah.
There's something due as far as Nintendo racers are concerned. But in the meanwhile, here we are. TikTok clock. I think this is actually this is a fan favorite track. This is one of the best ones. This comes from DS, I think.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. And meanwhile, Kunio does have a bit of the upper hand. And I was watching. You guys weren't able to see it, but I was watching Kugi. He's been getting very experimental in the beginning of his races, where he'll purposely just start behind everybody, and then he'll get a couple item boxes and I think see what he gets and lets the top settle, and then makes his move at the end, because he started this race at 12th or in 12th place, and then has just made a huge surge forward with a variety of items. So I don't know, like, is there really a discernible benefit to like letting yourself fall all the way further back and collecting items, or are you better off just like kind of sweating from the start?
I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that, Knight, if you have any.
I have a lot to talk about the last several topics, but on this one, it's pretty important. It depends on the track more than anything.
Okay.
So, sorry, I was eating stomach, but bagging is a very well-utilized strategy if you know how to accurately do it and effectively do it. So, the biggest thing with sandbagging is that the nature of the track that you're playing on. So we're watching Melpool here in 6th. He's probably just going to be getting maybe a combination of shells and shrooms. 6th place, not like the most probable given his distance to getting kind of, one of the power items here. So if you look and see what item he has, yeah, there's just a single shroom. So he's in 5th. So he can at least take the cut with this shroom. So bagging on a track like this is good for probably if you're in the middle spots, because you can use those cuts or those shrooms through the cut. You can use the star through the cut, bullets, whatever. But if you're on a track where there aren't really that many shortcuts towards the end, for instance, like a TikTok clock where there is a really hard shortcut, I guess you could take, or like a water park, for example, then it's really not optimal to sandbag. But if it's something like Cheeseland where there are tons of places to catch up, dry desert, tons of places to catch up, and other tracks like that, then bagging is optimal. And honestly, running is probably a bad idea because you're just not going to get the same level of item distribution.
That's very fascinating. That's very fascinating, trying to just hang back initially so you can secure that middle ground at first. Just proper item management is such an interesting thing in Mario Kart to me because, a casual player comes in, they get what they get and they don't get upset. But, now just to hear it like from that, I actually didn't know. I actually did not know that if you were invisible with the boo, you went through those pipes.
I didn't know that either. That was news to me.
Yeah, you can go through things. So
no, I knew
kind
that.
Of a questionable...
I knew it worked on those pipes.
Yeah, Melpool did something questionable. He used his shroom. I think he was just panicking out of momentum, which I kind of understand. He kind of got leveled. But he was lucky to get the triple shrooms, and you noticed he kind of took an abbreviated cut there to get himself a position. So that's kind of where it's helpful. Like a track like SNES Rainbow Road is a running track, so you want to be in first. So that's kind of why you're seeing Kugi just take control there in first, because there's really no place for anybody to attempt a shortcut to catch back up.
So this lobby right now that we're watching is actually super sweaty. I think it's literally just Kugi, Jinja, and honestly, I think it might even have Kunio in it if I got this correct. And maybe EO, but that's it. So I always appreciate races like this because you have people who are very competitive on the top end, ending up in the same lobbies, despite Jinja being on his 20th race, and I think Kugi was on his 14th or 15th, something like that. I don't know, it's almost like the game still somehow knows how to sniff it out, but we'll see what happens here. Jinja pretty far ahead, honestly looking like a shoe-in already. Does have a blue shell on him, does fall too. Wow, that was calculated,
Smart.
Wasn't it? Was that
smart? So smart. No, I think he did that on purpose.
I think he did too. EO was right in your shot, or right in sniping distance, and that's actually kind of amazing. Out of those names, Jinja, Kugi, EO's slowly been getting better and better, though, and he's still the only person I've seen use Bowser, at least. Actually, there may have been another one, but for the most part, the only person I've seen really use Bowser in this game.
He's not too common of a character, believe it or not. It's very interesting to see. I mean, this game has a lot of characters, so...
What makes him a less appealing heavy than, like, the other heavies? Or is he not a full-on heavy?
I don't know.
Like, why do people not
like him? It might be
him?
personal preference. I mean, he's not a meta character, but he is probably one of those cruisers, if I had to guess, given how heavy he is. Dry Bowser is extremely popular compared to regular Bowser, but I only know of one player ever that has used Bowser. And he's straight away from him, to be honest. I don't know.
That's so strange.
I can't confirm Dry Bowser is sick, so that's probably why. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I think he's one of the cooler characters, but I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, we have the whole lore session of Bowser being Blue Bowser from Lost Levels and
yes.
burned up, and yeah, interesting stuff.
I just follow the fact page.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool.
It shows up on my Twitter feed.
Yeah, I remember
on Twitter.com.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So, anyways, here we are. Glenn, being the tryhard he is, I think he's sitting. Oh no, he's in the middle of the pack. I just realized Melpool's in 7th. All right, yeah. Aceto, I think he's a New York Smash player. I'm pretty sure.
That name actually is a little bit familiar.
I'm fairly positive it's a New York Smash player, or somewhere in New Jersey and just doesn't come out to the other stuff. But either way, plays Smash. That's what I was saying.
God, that was a really well-timed star.
Yeah, sometimes those stars really do come in clutch, and Mel really needs to get a lot more out of that star than I think he did. But running out of
continuing on with the I gotta ask, I gotta continue on with the heavy debate a little bit. It's convenient enough, as Landman passes with Rosalina. Kugi used to be a die-hard Rosalina player. Every time he would always play Rosalina, and couple of his races actually coming up really close here, looking like Melpool's going to take a little bit of a bump there and fall back to ninth. Any different? No, unfortunately for him. But he used to play Rosalina a lot, Kugi did. And I think he initially switched to DK because, him and Glenn were doing the smurfing thing where, they wanted to stray away from, other people, or because they just didn't want people to just intentionally target them because they were considered like two of the best players in the server. And because of the fact that you get different items based on distance and whatnot, what separates Kugi, from like the players above him and whatnot, he felt like he was always more susceptible to getting hit by the items of the lesser skilled players, so for lack of a better term. And, because of that, I think he initially started playing a different character, but ever since then, he stopped changing his in-game name, but he did stick with DK, and I don't know how much better DK is than Rosalina. I mean, I know Rosa's a heavy. I know that, so, you still got that, full top speed on there for you, as well as Donkey Kong, but I mean, is there any semblance of, off the top of your head, Knight, is there any big difference between the two that, you can at least theorize for us as to why Kugi decided to stick with DK now for as long as he did? Because he played Rosalina for, the first, honestly, 2 months of the circuit straight up, without ever really switching, if not switching to, a, Black Shy Guy once just to, try to hide the fact that it was him, but before that, he was just a diehard Rosa player for so long, but ever since then, DK, all day, every day.
Lucky there that EO got caught up with something, but I think DK is a little bit more of a traditional head. I think it's like an upper middleweight, per se, because the real heavyweights are going to be Boo, DK, Dry Bowser, Morton, Bowser, and I think one of the Mii's could also be considered that too. I'm probably getting them wrong, but those are the more traditional ones you'll see. Waluigi being a heavyweight as well. But yeah, I mean, she could be. But yeah, I know DK realm of what could be considered more meta. So that's probably the reason why he seems to have liked DK. Plus, whenever DK jumps, he dabs. So that's another plus.
Dude. He's got all that swag.
I don't think you need any more reason to play a character.
Yeah, that's for sure. Jetliner, though, come in clutch in the chat saying, Rosa, King Boo, and Link are light cruisers. Basically, what's he say here?
That's Adam,
best seat benefits in water, low grip tracks, and then cruisers are DK, Waluigi, and Roy.
That would make sense. And then, yeah, you have your Morton, and then some of your bigger characters, like a Bowser, being in that super cruiser class or whatever you like to call them. I don't really refer to them by a certain name with the tiers, I guess, in my head. I don't
it's
really
tough to know.
Articulate it out very well.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of vibing. There's just a lot of differences between competitive Mario Kart and Smash too. Another thing is, I think the competitive Mario Kart kind of thrives a little bit more. The scene does, at least on the online end of things. Because it is a little bit harder to run IRL. There have been tournaments run IRL, obviously, but you can get the global audience for sure easily online, and it's not as different as Smash, where LANs are definitely considered more notable than Wi-Fi tournaments. But we're starting to see some big companies come in and sponsor some tournaments. I mean, Kart Clash is gonna have a triple-digit prize pool in a couple weeks, and then there's the company that runs the Vegas LAN for a 2v2 coming up as well. So it is interesting. I'm not saying that to plug it. I'm just saying because of the scene,
First off, you can totally anything you got, feel free to advertise or make mention. I actually for anyone who is interested in Kart Clash and where Knight comes from, if you go to our Master Hand Discord server, all those basically the Kart Clash server's linked, and also the MK Central website is also linked. So if anyone's legitimately interested in maybe some next steps with Mario Kart, or just getting a little bit more sweaty or interested in some more stuff, go ahead and check out those links. I'm still learning more about this too. I've actually had a couple people approach me with some ideas I have for Mario Kart that I found to be interesting. There's a lot of people, I think, looking for this, and I think it is the accessibility, but no one really knows where to start or where everything is. So, I think the scene in general is in an interesting place, really. And I do think that it's in a place that could expand, too. So definitely exciting, and it's cool to see companies actually sponsoring, because this is something where there's teams and stuff, could totally run a lot like a NASCAR, which is where he came from too, in terms of depending on what kind of sponsors are around and how tournaments are structured. I do think there's so much potential in that.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and the reason I say that is not only because of our hopes and dreams and that it could happen and that it is, but also because, I don't know if you guys remember, a few weeks ago, it was in a Nintendo News Roundup as well. They did an online Mario Tennis Aces tournament with professional tennis players.
I didn't know that.
It was an invitational, just with professional tennis players to come in and play it. Like, it was put on by Nintendo, the whole shebang. I gotta see if I could find the link, man, because it was in, like... I follow Arlo. He's like a big Nintendo YouTuber. He's a brand ambassador. He's a little blue Muppet that just talks pretty much everything Nintendo. Definitely recommend his
Arlo.
channel.
Yeah.
Yes. Now you know Arlo.
I know what you're
That's
talking about.
hype, yes.
He kind of looks like Grover, I think, but not really.
Yeah.
So let me interject with something here real quick. So you're talking about that idea, and it's funny because I NASCAR Rum and I race against. I think I raced against him once. Bubba Wallace. He's an African-American NASCAR driver, but he actually, I think it was on Thursdays maybe, he hosted a series of 6v6 matches where anyone could like step up, ask him on Twitter to challenge him, and there would just be random teams of 6, and then him and his pit crew would actually take their team of 6 and they do a team battle. Now the thing with the team battle is like, team mode is off in competitive Mario Kart, by the way, so there's no, I can only shock the other team, or there's friendly fire on. We're not just sinking reds to players of the other team.
Right.
But they did team mode on, which is fair. It's kind of like a casual thing. But he literally created a tournament with him and his pit crew, and he'd go up against different players. And the reason I'm saying that is because Jinja was, I think, the recurring player that was in a majority of those rounds. So you see 8BA Jinja again in your lobby was one of the guys consistently racing against one of the NASCAR drivers when he kind of did that little pro-am thing against his NASCAR team.
That is so cool. Honestly, I don't know what else to say. It's my job, no things to say, but I mean, I don't know what else to say. That is so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet, and then they got the voice communications on, and they're talking crap. Bear is a very big streamer, and he's a well-known tournament organizer too. He's on PH, Pirate Hackers, and he got challenged by Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed from WWE, and we did a 6v6 against Xavier Woods and his team, and he got crushed. But it was funny. It was a good time, and it's good to see that different people from sports and sports entertainment are really enjoying the game and want to see it grow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that there's been even a couple professional football player Le'Veon Bell hosted that whole tournament with Hungry Box. So a lot of these athletes, especially now that everyone is still sheltered and quarantined technically, these guys looking for stuff to do too, and what better mediums than things that sort of mimic the things you get to do in real life, but a lot less serious.
Yeah, you can say that again, my friend. While we all muster through together, it's the beautiful thing that we still have the things we do. Practice gratitude as much as we can. Speaking of gratitude, you saw Kugi holding back. He actually really messed up a shortcut before on that Mario Circuit race, so he decided he got caught on grass with no items, so he decided to just hang back, do a little bit of an item farm, if you would. So, he was in 7th place last time we saw him, but here we are on Dragon Driftway. We got Melpool all the way here in the back, Sweet Lou in front of him, AJ not that far ahead as well. Not sure who this Roy is, if that even is a player. I actually can't really tell. All those fireballs just going crazy in the corner. He's going to be able to hit the shortcut easy peasy because he's got the mushroom hanging right behind Kunio here, JJ in front of him, and all the way up to 2nd in the blink of an eye, my friends. That is just Mario Kart for you to a T. It's not as fast as 200cc, of course, so it's not the true blink of an eye, but you guys pretty much just get the gist in the first place. 2 red shells, able to quickly buffer that last one out for a shield. Kugi actually going to finish that race in 5th. Ninja going to take it all the way at the top in front of him. Kugi probably not too happy with that one. That's probably a little low for his standards. But meanwhile, Melpool going to finish 3rd here.
In the same lobby, Kugi and Jinja, literally the entire day. The last race before this, it was literally just, or the past couple, it's been them plus EO plus like someone else. So they've been getting a lot of the head-to-heads in, and I know this is Jinja's last race coming up now. And I know Jinja was sitting in 2nd earlier, so I'm going to check in and see if he's still there or what's going on there, because other than that, it was Vertex well ahead, which is, like I said, kind of the usual. Vertex has just been so dominant here, And yeah, here we go. Another small lobby with Kugi and Jinja again, and Sir 9, who is we got a little bit of the inside scoop on before. So let's see. This is probably a big race for Jinja. I'm gonna look and see how big of a race in terms of if he's able to win or how far off he is from the overall circuit. But it could be close. Who knows?
I know what he's doing. It looks so silly when he's just pogoing and just bouncing around like that.
It's a track, so you're gonna notice he's gonna be manipulating the items here, trying to go for shock, but mainly a bullet, because if you actually take that bullet through that little waterfall, it will take you to the end of the tail of Yoshi. So that's something that's gonna be probably in play, but it's gonna be very difficult behind all of the bot players. So he's probably gonna have to move on up. But if you notice too, and as the shock came into play, it looks like on the delay. One of the things that's really big, and we saw with Melpool, was in that last one against Dragon Driftway, everybody got shocked through the boxes. He got shocked before the boxes, so when he went through and got the double box and got those multiple shrooms, that's how he went up to second so quickly, because nobody else ahead of him had an item that they were able to use. So he basically had free reign to go right up top. So that's going to be something that a lot of these players are going to have to keep in mind, as there's likely going to be another shock in this race for itself.
Yeah, still got a whole nother lap to go. So definitely not out of the woods yet. Kugi is not that far ahead, really. A couple of Roys chomping right behind him. Kind of catching up. Obviously, one of them being Jinja, and the other one, I think that was Sir 9 is the other Roy. But Kugi does get a little bit of a further boost ahead, and just in time in the last lap. But you did mention, could see another lightning, could see a blue shell. Still have a whole nother lap to work with. And there is a Waluigi in the mix there. I forget who that is already. It's someone else. I think there's only 4 real players in this lobby. And the reason I want to focus on it is because this is Jinja's last one. And currently, Jinja is in second place overall on the circuit at 271, but Vertex at 292. I don't know how many races he has left. But if Jinja could, if he could secure another 15 points on this, if he gets first, he's still not going to get first place, but it will probably secure him second. I don't know what race JJ's on, but he's in third and only at 239, so there's a big disparity between second and third. Vertex...
The blue shell.
Yeah, there it is. Right on cue. Is going to get that third. To be honest with you, I still think Jinja's second place overall in the circuit might still be a safe bet, just because third place is pretty far off at 239. And again, I don't know how many races JJ has left, but he still is... even if he still has a couple races, I don't know how many people are... I don't think anyone's really going to pass 300 today, unless Vertex didn't have another race. Because he's the closest at 292. So either way, there we go. There's Vertex. Okay, there he is. 304. Probably going to be the only person to pass 300 today. Maybe. I know some people did start late, so they might get the benefit of the bots towards the end, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
The weird thing is, people are kind of grinding, and then you're going to have that 20-minute period where they're just going to be racking up 12s and 15s, but it is what it is. But I mean, ultimately, having to be able to complete your races in a matter of 2 hours is going to be, it is beneficial, especially if you do need a break or something like that.
It's reasonable. The first couple circuits we did, I think, were 3-hour time spans with the same amount of races, and that's where things got a little hairy. But I think 2 hours is I think it's the mark. And as soon as I'm not gonna say anything, but I think it's the mark, mostly because you could finish these races in about an hour and a half, 24 races. So a half-hour buffer, I think, is probably optimal, but there are some more people, aka Melpool, on his final race, so that's going to be something we're going to look at, keep an eye out for. But we'll see if Cold Brew could keep this first place, because we haven't seen a whole lot of him yet today, so we'll see if he's able to get some wins. He also did start a little bit late, so we're probably going to go to 9 o'clock here, because I know Kugi started late, still has a few races left. Cold Brew started late, probably just a hair after Kugi, so we'll have a pretty good perspective on what the second wave of racers is, and trying to catch people in his blue shell, and I think he did. He got, I guess, who's that? Papa ended up nicking a little bit, but I don't know what lap this is. Could be the ends either way. Gonna have to sweat.
Oh,
Is that the
boy,
race?
we'll find out. No,
Okay,
no,
okay,
it's looking like there's more.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so still has something, still fighting.
Definitely still fighting for this one, yeah. We've had a lot of big brain webcam placements and whatnot, regarding, I don't know if you would consider it optimal to have your items blocked out. Like you said, so people can't stream snipe you. But I mean, what I notice in like the HUD of Mario Kart is that the one spot where there really isn't anything you have to, you really need to take too much into account for is the top right. It's a big empty space right there, which is why that's where I put my webcam where I started when I was streaming, but I haven't been doing too much of that anymore. It looks like Run 5K is still going to have a little bit of protection here, and yeah, he's just going to toss it right there towards the end, looking like he knew that he wasn't going to be able to clutch that one. So Cold Brew going to finish second in what I think was his final race, going to take that second place to Run 5K. Unfortunately, can't see his points, but we will cross that bridge when we come to it later. Like Crystalodian said, we will probably be going to 9 today, which might be a first. I don't even remember the last time we ever did that. Actually had players consistent all the way towards the end of the tournament at 9 o'clock. Has that happened before, Chris?
It's almost happened a couple times. To be honest with you, I actually think Kugi is going to break 300 today. As I'm watching him just kind of pick up the 15s here and there. He did start a little bit late, and a lot of his lobbies were smaller. He basically had the 1v1 with Jinja most of the time, with EO kind of sneaking in there and taking some points, and Sir 9 also. So it's not like it's not earned entirely, but it's a little skewed when you don't have a bunch of human players in there. And geez, Melpool, ended up getting second. But that was I don't know if you guys saw that at the end. Got a little messy. And speaking of, oh no, that's JJ in front of him. So currently at 264. That's probably top 8 at the moment, 264. But I'll have to check in with that. But yeah, so there's Kugi on his 20th race, so still has a little bit of time to go. And Kunio on his 21st. So yeah, we're going to be right till 9 o'clock. I think these guys are going to probably finish on the dot.
All right. I must ask, Knight, do you have any pre-tournament rituals that you like to do?
I just do is I like to just stay fresh, just be awake, and I just kind of grind. I really kind of feel out what character I want to play, whether it's Waluigi, Wiggler, go a little try hard, go Boo, go Morton, go Inkling. I have a lot of different characters, and I play a very aggressive style, so I just really just feel it out, honestly.
All right, very cool. I used to multi-character a little myself because I played Toad along with Metal Mario, but then I felt like my results just kind of started to improve a lot more with Metal Mario as opposed, and I also just, I don't know, liked him a little better, felt a little more unique playing him, so I guess that's why I kept doing him at that point. And Kugi, like you said, starting a little bit late, still only on his 20th race. It is 8:40. That actually is relatively late, because I'm very happy to say that, through the months that we've been doing the Glentendo circuit, we have hit a relatively consistent format, because we were struggling with that a little bit. We had a 4-hour time period for the first Glentendo circuit. I remember it. I believe it ran 32 races from 6 p.m. EST to 10. So the first one was a little flawed. People were a little, not upset, but they were complaining about it at the end, be like, all right, it's a new format. We got to fix this up a little bit. A lot of people were farming towards the end of it. I remember the second one, even when they shortened it, people were saying, oh, start whatever. So I ate dinner first because I wanted to eat. And then I started late, and I raced against CPUs for most of the tournament, which was not fun, by the way. It was very boring. It had to wait forever for the lobbies, and, then when I actually got into the lobbies, wasn't even really racing against very many people, and I got 4th, and people didn't think I was good at Mario Kart at the time, so they were just like, Tuna shouldn't be there. People were actually
you're just a bot farmer, bro. Way to go.
It's the what?
I said you're just a bot farmer.
I was like the bot farmer, and they kept posting that meme, oh, it ain't much, but it's all this work. With that far. It was funny. No, I'm not gonna lie, it was funny, but people were actually, legit upset at me for it. I'm like, all right, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, so
don't hate the game. It's Mario Kart. It's awesome.
Yeah,
why would you hate it?
I like the game. So there's another first place for Kugi. He's just going to continue going. Still has another 3 races. So that's a 45-point potential for him.
4. So
he's got 4.
Another 4.
He's on pace right now on a perfect pace for 310. If you think about it like that, and I know Cold Brew has at least 5 more to go.
Yeah, Cold Brew.
Actually, sorry, 6 more to go maybe.
The thing about Cold Brew is I don't think he's been nailing down the first places quite like Kugi has. Kugi has been mostly getting first in everything he's been doing, and a lot of that is because his lobbies have been a little bit smaller. But like, you know, he's lost a couple of races, like, cause him and, like I mentioned earlier, him and Ginger were going head to head a few times. Then there was that one race where EO snuck right in front of both of them. And yeah, I think, let's see, Cold Brew said, what was it, another 3, so she was 21st race. 19th race, oh yeah, he's got a while. Yeah, he's got a while, but either way, I don't think he's gotten the placings Kugi has, so Kugi can very well potentially, well, he's definitely going to probably be in the top 4, I'll say that much. If not top 1, 2, rather.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good. End thought.
Proper spelling that time.
Yeah, proper spelling.
Lovely. Okay, I'm gonna eat that red shell as Cold Brew. Dropping down to 6 right now. He's gonna make his way back up for this, though. It's only the first lap on Yoshi's Circuit, which I feel like he's gotten a lot of. Is it just me, or have I noticed he's, like, honestly, like, been racing on Yoshi's Circuit a lot throughout this tournament?
Yeah.
There's been a lot.
Yeah. Then, you know, I'm very disappointed at the like disturbing lack of Mount Wario in this tournament. I think we briefly saw it once.
I think we saw it once. Yeah, that's really unusual. I think we see that pretty much like at least three times a stream. That's I'm a little surprised too at that.
For sure, man. That's definitely a fan favorite. Easily one of my favorite tracks in the game too, as well. But either way, you know, like, we didn't wind up seeing it. We're seeing Yoshi's Circuit a lot. Seeing Yoshi's Circuit a lot instead. It is what it is. And Cold Brew looking. It's still only the second race, but a good item right there. He was finally able to get the star. Going to easily go through that piranha plant right there. Take some good shortcuts for that. I think he got that when he was in 4th. I don't know if he. It didn't look like he hung back at any point to really, like, you know, sort of farm that item a little bit. It looked like he just. I think he literally got it when he was like in 4th place. Am I mistaken? Am I just blind?
I'm not sure, but he is going to hold on to the star for a bit.
Use the star because the shock is coming in about 15 seconds, marking the. If you notice the way the back's been playing, there's a bullet in the back. Villager has something. He's out of his dodge. This isn't good for him unless he can pull something here again. 2 reds. Shock's going to be coming here in the next, like, 2 turns.
Well played,
Wow.
though. Does cut off. I'm not sure who that was in front of him, but does cut him off with the red shell, but still right on his tail. Got a little bit of... Oh, man. Yeah, here's everyone. And it looked like that was Run 5K before, who I think is one of the Kart Clash guys, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's one of the older Vegas players. I think he's retired, but he's really good at the game. He's a really good inward player, and I'm surprised that there was no shock there, just given how far back some of those computer players were. But yeah, he's a really skilled racer. You can't underestimate him, just because of the fact that he will be there if you make a mistake. So, gotta watch your back.
Definitely showcasing the importance. Only a Metal Mario behind him right there. That is a big flush of CPUs behind him, so I'm wondering what the timer is going to be. All I was thinking about when you were talking about, you know, when the shock was going to come. Oh no, Kugi! Oh wait, no, he did that on purpose. Oh wow, okay. I actually didn't even realize it. You know, I didn't see the blue shell. I didn't see it on the map, so I didn't put 2 and 2 together immediately because I saw another player do that before, and I knew that he was going for that whole time. Right there, didn't see the blue shell. Thought Kugi just somehow messed up. I should have known better.
And fell for the blue shell trick. That's a little bit unorthodox for him, but it looks like Adam might have moved there in a 2nd place there in this final lap of Wario's Gold Mine. 2 players very far back, one in the star, one we don't know what they have. It's likely a power item like a boo, a bullet, a star, or lightning. But this is going to be an easy win here for Kugi. He's going to probably back the bomb if it's going to hit anybody. Oh, there's the shock coming into play.
Yeah,
that's going to allow Cunio to get 2nd, and Jetliner there, Adam, to get 3rd.
Wow. Very interesting. I mean, when they put something like that behind them, and even when there isn't anybody who's that close, I believe that's actually Luke Skywalker. Instead is the Lancunios over here at the left, I think.
Yes.
When you really got like nobody else that close behind you, is it the optimal thing to just start dropping those items behind you in case anybody gets too close? Or is it really just sort of like a way to just like sort of assert your dominance? Because sometimes if there isn't anybody too close for you, say you have like a race in the bag, there's a lot of distance between you and the other player, nobody else behind you, like you are going to win because you're right at the finish line. If you have a shell, do you normally throw it back, or do you just hold onto it for protection the whole time? And if they do let it go, is it just done essentially to style, or is it the optimal thing, you know, like in case somebody like, you know, just somehow gets up close, say with a mushroom or something?
Answer to everything is it depends on the situation. If you're in a 6v6, your teammate's behind you, there's no reason to drag a shell, throw anything back. If there's an enemy behind you, then you're drag or throw a shell back or whatever the item is. But if you're referring just to the context here of like a for-all, the benefit to really throwing that back is it's going to make you vulnerable, but you could argue that throwing it back right before an item box, for instance, is good because it'll allow you to chain and get a new item set, and ideally try to go for that air horn. So that's kind of one of the benefits there, because if you notice, if you're in first, the coin's in play here. Kunio can't get another coin, so he's going to get a banana. But if you notice, he's going to get hit here if he remains in first, which we'll have to see going through this item box. Oh, it's the end of the race. Good for him. But first place is always guaranteed a coin in a single item box. So you have to know how to rotate your items in first, and that's kind of where it kind of depends on the situation given who's behind you.
Very, very interesting. It's more of a situational approach depending on what you're going to do. What's funny, what you just said is like, you know, a big reason the Tendo circuit is not really taken all too seriously, considering the fact that, you know, the teams are just like themed or like random, just red versus blue, and then people join based on just who they want rather than like a set competitive format and, you know, established teams beforehand. It's a big reason people don't like them because, you know, then, you know, either the CPUs or just your opponents, or not your opponents, your teammates will just be throwing items back as just protection. And it's so consistent, man. I remember when I was racing in the Tendo circuit, and literally, like, there would be people in front of me, they're on my team, and I wouldn't throw anything at them because I'd be like, you know, they're on my team. We're just trying to, like, accumulate the points here for, like, a grander, bigger goal, you know? And when they got to the finish line, because that's just how they play Mario Kart, they always threw their items back, always threw their shells back or anything like that. And if I'm racing and I couldn't position myself, you know, to get not behind my teammate, which I shouldn't really have to focus too much on, you know, if I'm playing in like a sort of a team's race, they would always just throw it back at me because they just didn't take that rule too seriously.
No.
And speaking of taking seriously,
that's a big one.
No,
that's gonna hurt.
Oh, I hope this gonna impact the 300.
Yeah, that is stolen, and that is gonna hurt at the end of the day. That might actually be an impact later, but we'll see. It's still 12 coins, or 12 points, so could have been worse. Either way, that does set his pace back just a little bit further than what we were talking about before, because what's he now, down to 2 races, I think? So another potential 30 points.
Okay.
Be close.
Yeah,
still possible then.
Definitely going to be close. I'll check in on that in just a moment, but for now, here's Cafe Cold Brew and Kunio. Kunio.
Yoshi circuit again?
It's again?
Dude.
Wow.
I would be kind of tight.
This isn't even like a fun. It's not even that fun of a map. Yeah, it's like it's just
yeah.
It's not that good.
It's fun if you're not in first, because it's all about the thrill of the chase. But it looks like Cold Brew, he's gonna have to outrun Adam and others that are all behind him. It's probably a 2 or 3 player lobby just from the way the map looks, in my opinion. But I don't know. And Adam's definitely got some tricks up his sleeve with some item manipulations. So we'll have to see what happens. This looks like it might be lap 2. I don't know. I'm trying to see like the tail end of that number. This could be the final lap. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's literally impossible to tell right now, unfortunately, since we missed that earlier cutoff when he actually passed the finish line. Unfortunately, the chat is in the way, but it do be like that, I suppose. Meanwhile, over on the left, we do have Kunio, who's front running. Not too solidly. He's got a Metal Mario behind him. He should be able to hold this down, though, especially if he's able to get a decent item. But no, he already had a banana in hand, so the coin was just that much more likely for the second item slot. But it looks like it's not going to matter. He's going to be able to hold on to everything, spam his items towards the end of that. Actually hits the Metal Mario behind him, who is going to be able to secure that second place right there anyway. And yeah, that was actually just a CPU Metal Mario. Sweet Lou looking like the only other person in that lobby besides Acido or Acido. Don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
He is going to finish way lower down. Cold Brew, though, still out here on Yoshi circuit. This is probably the last lap since he's in like that same area he was in before. Yeah, holding back right now to make sure the blue shell is going to hit Liam instead, and tossing that red shell at him for good measure as well. And off the track. Oh my God, my man got hit with the ugly.
Yeah, and then he's got someone right on his tail, but actually pretty well played by Cold Brew. He was pretty patient towards the end. Outwitted that.
Hero!
Yeah.
He just annihilated Kugi.
Oh,
That was dirty.
Oh, what I was actually looking at. I was still looking at Cold Brew's race. What did he do?
He stopped to air horn him. But these two have been going at it, honestly. Like Kugi kind of annihilated him on his gold mine. He stole the victory from Kugi on Big Blue, but now look, karma is everything, right? He's gonna get blue shelled, and it looks like Kugi could probably ride off into the sunset.
Dude, that's Elon Musk's daughter, man. Like, yeah, she's gonna have a very privileged life, but I mean, she's gonna get real bullied in middle school. I wouldn't be that mean to her.
There he goes, making his pass, dabbing all over the place. That's a little bit of a stretch to go. He is close to the finish line, but still right. There you go. There's the lightning. Still not safe from blue shells. Definitely vulnerable, but at least sees the finish line in the horizon. Here comes the red shell. Okay, he's good.
Is there a second though? Did he get a triple? Not looking
good.
like
He's
it. Yeah, and he's
chilling.
gonna get that boost. He's good. He's good. He needed that.
Good. Yeah, so that's
He
gonna
really needed that.
Kiro's a good racer too, but LVZ Kiro, that's what the Japanese stands for. LVZ stands for.
Oh, I'm
Las
so
Vegas
sorry.
Zeal, I think. I know he does a lot of rhythm games, so it has something to do with his rhythm game history. But yeah, he's one of the captains of Pirate Hackers as well. There's a few of them in here: Heartless, Geronimo, himself, and I think that's it for PH from what I know. But there's a lot of different representatives along with some of the individual players.
So
I am so sorry. I didn't realize that. I actually didn't realize that was Japanese.
Yeah, it is. I think it stands for Kiro. I could be wrong.
Oh, lovely. My mistake. I didn't mean to come off as ignorant there for that one. I just thought it was. Dude, no. It's not even because of that. It's because there's literally a different racer, and I don't think they're racing today.
They're not.
That does have a tag that doesn't look like. It doesn't look like a language.
It's just
it
a bunch of
look
symbols.
Like Japanese.
It's symbols.
Yeah, like it was literal symbols
Not
in there.
Japanese
So that
symbols.
person I talked about was actually Elon Musk's daughter, but this is actually a different player.
Yeah,
so
wingding
just by correlation,
symbols.
I made that same,
Yeah.
stupid joke. And I apologize. I didn't want to seem ignorant to the fact that it was in literal language.
It's too
Oh, you're
late.
good. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just can't picture the name.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Neither can I, because it wasn't pronounceable.
But anyway, so this is an interesting position. Kugi is okay. So first place currently in the circuit is held by Vertex at 304, and since Kugi did lose or got second in that one race, I think he has to literally get first, or first would put him at what? I think 307, which would mean if he got second, take away 307. Dude, I think he'll tie. He's either gonna tie for first, or he's going to get first based off of whether he gets first or second in this race. Or if he gets third, then he gets second. So we'll see. This is the final race for him though. So this is for all the marbles, quite literally.
See what happened? So he made a mistake and he fell off. Fuck. So he like backed up a little bit, and then Kiro came in with a green of his own, sniped him. And then I think Kugi was trying to go back and get back at Kiro, but meanwhile, now Snywalker had a big lead. The shock Kugi, hopefully, he will not overcorrect. Yeah, there he goes and gets the landing for lap number 2.
If there's anything I can learn from recent events, is that the more you ignore history, the more you are doomed to repeat it. That is what my man Kugi definitely did not do just now, making sure to correct his mistakes from that first lap over to make sure he's able to land that nice, easy shortcut over the ramp right there in the middle of his drift to ensure that he could get the boost as he landed. But if he wants to break that 300, he's still got one more lap to go, because if he's at like 290, no, not 290. He was at, what is he at right now? I forgot the actual total. If he gets second, will he break 300?
Yeah, he'll break 300 if he gets second.
Okay.
I think he's either due to tie, or he'll pass Vertex in the end. So this is a pretty
This
big.
is bad news,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you why. So he got shocked after the item boxes, meaning second on back all have items.
And
He
here
can
comes
tell
the shell.
too. You can look at his face, and there's the blue shell coming in.
Yeah, he's like,
just
oh,
super
no.
unlucky, and that was. Oh, can he run into the wall? He does, but it doesn't register in time. I don't
Oh
think.
God, here comes
And
the
a red shell coming in.
Oh, he's safe. He's
But it
safe.
gets blocked by
Okay.
the trolley. Second one hits him,
Oh no.
Oh boy.
and now it's a drag race.
Oh
I think
my.
Hero used all of his shells.
Now here comes
Oh, he has one
more.
more. No!
Oh my God, there he goes. Oh no!
Oh, he can't get it. Oh no!
Yo, Skywalker, what the heck? Yo, oh
Oh,
my
but he's
God, I
able to
think
break
that
through.
ruined his run.
Oh,
That literally
man.
ruined his run. Let me see what the point total is.
Dude, he's looking
Oh,
right
he
at
got
us.
301.
Yeah, see, he lost because of that. He would have. That's gonna be second place for going the Kugi. That's a tough
Oh.
break.
I would have loved to hear what he had to say.
That is a tough one, man. Hold on,
Not
is he
that I
done,
needed
or does
to.
he have
You can
another
see
one?
it in
I
his
thought he was
eyes,
done.
man. You can see it in his face.
What did Vertex
hold
have
on.
again?
304. Yeah, he's done. I'm pretty sure he's done. Yeah, that's a yikes.
It was the combination of the shells, the blue, the piranha
Yo,
plant.
Everything was hitting
man.
at the end, dude. There was started to get past, then the green shell hit, and then like Luke just kind of snuck by, and then everyone else kind of came in, and it was a disaster. That was literally as action-packed of an ending as you could probably want as far as like tournament implications go, because that's going to be second place for him. When first was kind of right in his grasp until the last little bit of that race. That hurts.
Bro, just go to your fridge, just grab one, pour one out. That's your boy, man, going down. My goodness, what an unfortunate victim of circumstance. He tried to ride the wall, do the thing, make sure like he could at least cancel some of the lag. Just wasn't doing, man. And my man Knight even beat me to it. Like even beforehand, after he was getting after we lost that item cycle, I saw the blue shell coming from back, man. It was just. It's so interesting watching you players and you and I break this game down to a science by thinking about like how it's gonna go. And Kugi it really just shows his skill as a player, despite just getting a little bit unlucky there. Unfortunately for him, as Cold Brew just ricochets his green shell in front of him there. But really goes to show how he breaks it down to a science, because Kugi right there, he knew he messed up the cycle. Not that he messed up the cycle. He knew that the cycle got messed up. He knew it was over at that point. Just smiled, accepted his fate. Tried so hard to break through, man. But then a piranha plant of all items out of nowhere, man. That's a tough one to take, man. That's a hard pill to swallow, but unfortunately he will. And speaking of hard pills, the green shell not connecting on Liam. I'm actually not sure if he would have had enough time to sneak past in, or if he would have been able to bounce through during the hit stun. Either way, though, Cold Brew's going to be able to finish second in that race to Liam. Still a very respectable showing. And we'll get these score placings for you now. You hate
Look
to
at
see
that.
it, man.
Oh, man.
Look
And
at
somebody else
that.
went 6v6 greater than FFA in that last race. Like, come on.
Oh my God, dude, that is painful to look at. But
Put it away. I can't look at it.
Cold Brew is still in the running, actually, as far as top 8 goes. I'll keep an eye out to see how many races he has. But he's currently in 10th place. Heartless just ahead of him at 252. Well, a decent way ahead of him. But we'll see, because this is what Cold Brew is looking like right now. This is the race he's up against. I don't know what race number it is, but I can tell you that this will probably be the last one, because it's 8:57. So, okay, right on the buzzer. So this is going to be it. We'll stick around and see if he's able to crack top 8. Although, is it possible if he wins this? I don't think it is. 40. Oh, it is. It's totally possible. We'll tie for.
Wow.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
I don't think there is time to get an extra race in. We'll have to see, but I doubt it, because the average race goes 3 to 4 minutes. RBUS, I think it's not the longest track, but not the shortest. So
yeah.
we'll see.
So would it cut off at 8 o'clock if they're mid race, or does this still count?
I think they finished the race.
The end.
Okay. Oh yeah. This is technically.
Oh yeah. Never mind.
Yeah. This is the final race for Cold Brew. So right now he's at 237. Heartless is at, or I'm sorry, 8th place. Sir 9 is at 253. So if Cold Brew wins this, that would put him at what? Quick math. Okay, so he won't get 8th place, but he can get 9th. He can tie for 9th, which is still pretty good, honestly. We were talking about that earlier in terms of actually being pretty good if you're able to break into that top 8, considering how dense these brackets have been getting and how competitive they are. Because there's a lot of guys that could probably win this tournament that are still just kind of in the mix, like even Jinja at 281, JJ at 276, Adam 267. These are all like heavy hitters. HSB. And even Geronimo finishing with 225 points is Geronimo is a really strong competitor as well. So these circuits do have a tendency to get pretty chaotic in a sense. So 9th place, definitely nothing to scoff at. We'll see if he's able to make it happen though first. Getting first place would tie him for 9th. Otherwise, he'll probably just stay 10th, which is still good, man. Cracking that top 10.
Or even more than that now, you think?
Say again?
Turnout wise. How big was the turnout? this week?
Turnout, I believe. I can tell you the exact number. 34 people, so not too bad. Actually, just a little bit above that average, like 27, 30 mark we've been hitting. So I'll definitely take it.
All right, hitting one more trick. Still only the second lap of this Wario Stadium race, my friends. It's still absolutely anybody's game. The question is the story of the final story of the evening, I should say, that we can bring to you as the casters of the Glentendo circuit for you guys right here. Is will Cold Brew be able to secure this potential top 8 here? I don't know, man. He's got another waifu at the top right. That was the last lap?
That was the last lap.
I thought that was only his second.
Ho's mad.
Oh, and Ho's are mad,
They
dude.
are mad,
Oh,
for sure.
no.
Ho's mad. Well played either way, Cold Brew. I'm going to get one final refresh on the scores since it is 9 o'clock on the dot. Might as well go for it because we're usually done at this point with the stream because usually everyone's done with the races already. So now we could actually give you the official ending because sometimes we just end beforehand, and I just redirect you to either Master Hand Games Twitter or Glenn's Twitter where all the top 8s are posted. But, we could look right now. So we'll wait for these to load. Let's check it out.
They might have gotten one more race in at the last second. I don't know. For anyone still remaining in that room, but it wouldn't really change.
Okay, so yeah, there's Cold Brew at 10th. Not too bad, man. So yeah, that's going to be Vertex winning for the day. Just narrowly, we got to see that heartbreaker for Kugi, where he could have, if he won that race, would have taken the circuit instead. Caught a little bit of the cheese at the end and ends up with 301, still breaking 300. Still plenty to be proud of with that. And there's going to be Jinja, who was streaming for us today, coming in 3rd, JJ 4th, Adam 5th, HSB, that is Hot Sexy Beast, coming in, tied for 5th actually with Adam. And I'm not sure, is that PH you said? That's the Pirate Hacker, Smiley coming in 7th, and Sir
Sure.
9, and JP coming in at 8th. So that's going to be your top 8, everybody. Good games indeed. Vertex, thanks for coming out again, man. It's cool to see you come out again. But if everybody is wondering where you are, if you've been watching, not exactly sure what you're watching, these go on every single Sunday. Mario Kart free-for-alls. You got 2 hours, get 24 races in. It's been a good time. Lots of top-level talent coming through. And then if you're looking for something a little similar, maybe a little bit less spicy, we got team races every single Tuesday, and I do think the format of this could be changing soon. I know I've been saying this a lot, but I have talked to Glenn a couple times, and I think there's a lot of potential with other things that we can do. So we'll see what happens there, but for now, every single Tuesday, mark it on your weekly calendar. And if you're looking for Smash, which is usually what we do on this channel, we still have that, of course, every single Thursday with DNA. So that's 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You have an out till 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time to register. It is all free. Winner and second place do get subs to this channel, and there are some subscriber perks for this channel. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I do want to thank Unite for joining us this time around. You're literally welcome anytime you want. Getting the insight and kind of having you vibe out with us was a good time. And then, of course, Nintunist. Thank you, man, for always holding it down for me.
Of course, this is why I look forward to this every single week, twice a week. In fact, I'm blessed to be able to do it twice a week, which is a wonderful thing. But very special edition of the Glentendo circuit tonight because of the presence of this man Knight. So thank you so much for coming in. With the insight, like you said, vibing like he was before. Telling us why the hype moments are in fact hype. It was I always parrot Max Ketchum's tweet and saying that the difference between a good commentator and a bad one. So the bad one just says nice back air. The good one says nice back air, but then they explain why it was a nice back air. So that's essentially, sometimes a big rule of commentary to a T. And right now we were able to have that at a much higher level because of you, my friend. So thank you so much for just coming in and everything you've done from us. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go here? Anything you want to plug? And don't feel bad about plugging.
Yeah, man. Anything you got, go for it.
First off, thanks for having me, guys. I really do feel bad for Kugi because that just the minute he went,
tragic.
The shock happened after he went through the item box and second on back at all the items. I just wasn't going to go his way, and I knew too that he did get an item in that final set towards the end, but still had everyone behind him had a box over him, so kind of was unfortunate for him there. But good job to Vertex. And yeah, I am not really gonna plug too much. We do have a Card Clash coming up on 20th, the 13th. That's next week. If you do want to partake in that, but there are other tournaments being run on Mario Kart Central staff member there. So if you have any questions about competitive Mario Kart, you can just find me on Discord in Glentendo and MKC Discord and Master Hand Gaming Discord. I'm available, so happy to give you some insight on how you can get more involved in the scene.
All right, cool, yeah. And then for anyone interested in that, you can find the Kart Clash Discord server. It's linked in the Master Hand Gaming Discord server, as well as the URL for Mario Kart or MK Central. So check all that stuff out if you're interested, man. It's a pretty big world community that is already pretty well cemented and seemingly growing as it would turn out. But all right, guys, that's going to be it. We'll see you Tuesday. Have a very good evening.
Goodbye.